Welcome everyone to the Out of the Past rewatch for this Tuesday night noir. Thanks for sticking around and waiting, and let me bring in our panel, or those who are here first. With me, as always, is my trusty TA, Big Al. Say hi, Al.
Hi, Al.
Al Noir, I like that. And of course, we have Mr. The Klingon cleric.
It actually might change.
What?
Sorry.
What?
It might change.
Okay, you just go ahead and step on the intro. That's fine.
Go on.
The Klingon cleric himself, Mr. Troy Pacelli. Welcome, Troy. Can you hear us, Troy?
Oh, I'm sorry. I
Hey,
didn't
Troy.
have my mic on.
Oh, no problem.
I don't know how well Klingon Cleric works with Tuesday Night Noir. I might have to come up with something new for Tuesday nights.
Yeah. Anything you got there. Nice. I know you like the Kirk Douglas, Al. I like nice there. Good. And then we've got backstage as well the lovely and talented Netters Network. Welcome, Netters Network.
Hi, how you guys doing tonight? I'm so glad to be here.
Are very good, very excited. I don't see Sound Engraver backstage yet. She is going to be joining us tonight, but I don't see her yet.
Late.
Or possibly some technical difficulties. I don't know. We're Al and me and Sound Engraver are all over here on the east-ish coast, eastern states anyway, and it has been storms today. I don't know if they've reached all the way down to where she is, but possibly. I hope no power or technical difficulties.
Yeah, we just the last hour or so we've had like boomers going around us.
Yeah.
Maybe one of these nights when you do your. Well, I don't know why I'm hearing echo. Sorry about that, guys. Don't know where that's coming from. I'll try to keep it down or something. I don't know. I apologize.
I see it echoing in Nanette's Halo.
Okay,
Halo,
Nanette,
and then
you've
hers.
got some kind of a pickup going on there, so please see what you can do about dropping the gain.
Okay, fine.
I was going to say, you need to do one of these times when you're doing your talk about writing, especially story openings, the whole trope of the dark and stormy night.
Oh, yeah. It's a dark and stormy. Did you guys ever see, was it Throw Mama from the Train?
I've seen it, yeah.
Was that the movie in which Billy Crystal played the writer, and he's trying to start the book in some other way besides saying like the night it was dark and stormy, and eventually he's just like the night was wet, the night was moist. I think he's ended up like the night was moist. He's just like stuck to like that one, but it was kind of a neat.
I think so.
Showing you the trials and the torment you can go over just getting that opening sentence right. It is a problem. I understand. So, Mr. Matchstick has been playing LA Noir. That is awesome, Mr. Matchstick. What do you think? Yeah, Cole and Rusty are basically Jim and Harvey. Yeah, I saw you post that in the Facebook group. That's very true.
I like that.
Very cool. So yeah, I don't know where Sound Engraver is. I guess it could always just be that if the power went out or something, she wouldn't have necessarily a way of contacting, I guess. So,
she is not in the chat.
We need to do the Beetlejuice trick. Sound engraver, sound engraver, sound engraver.
Nothing yet. I'm watching backstage. So we shall see. But yeah, it was Throw Mama from the Train. Wolfton Media confirmed. Yeah, that was. I need to watch that again. That was funny. And I think was it the night was wet or the night was moist or something like that he settled on. I forget what it was, but it was pretty funny. So let people know while we're waiting here that I do have the movie queued up just to the 1 second mark. So it says I've got the antenna on the planet just fading in. It doesn't say an RKO production yet, but I just got the fade in at 1 second. So that's where I am here. Are you fiddling with some mic stuff there, Nanette?
No, I'm not doing anything.
Okay. I've got a little bit of sound coming. Okay, I stopped, I guess. Yep, cool. Just making sure it's all set up here.
As long as I don't talk, you should be fine.
What's that?
As long as I don't talk, you should be fine.
That's weird that you echo, but she doesn't.
That's because she left her mic on over here next to me. I don't really understand why she did that because she moved to the back of the room to specifically not have this problem, but we
Okay,
still.
well, you can take a second if you need
Turn off
to.
my computer, okay?
You can take a second if you need to switch things around or whatever. It's all good. We're not in any major hurry. Hey, there's I do see a sound engraver. So with us is the talented and charming sound engraver as well. Welcome, sound engraver.
It's not
Hi
on.
guys, how are you guys doing?
What
Good.
kept you,
Um,
Missy?
A lot of curry in my dinner, but I mean, like not that way, not that way.
Wow.
But
More
no,
detail
not
than we need.
no, not like that. It's
Oh,
just,
come on. Let us think it was that.
No.
Come on.
it was just very very messy, and it took longer to clean up.
Oh
Well,
That makes it worse, sound engraver.
That
You are really
makes
in the Al
And
territory.
even better.
I'm sorry. Did I
Wow,
come in?
we've got to do something about that sound. That's just like a gallery of people talking there.
Sorry about that.
Am I coming in clear?
You're fine.
No, you're fine. We got some just some echo coming through when I think when Troy talks or whatever. And Al, I think Al was picking up through Troy's microphone. I don't know. It sounded a little weird there.
Well, my computer's now completely off, so he can't blame it on me anymore.
Ah,
And Nanette, Nanette's coming through nice and clear. I don't know what. Say something again, Troy.
I don't know what the problem could possibly be.
Hey, you sounds better now.
There you go.
Okay, good. Thank you.
Awesome. All right. Sounds like we're good. So as I told everyone else, Sound Engraver, we're at the 1 second mark, and that's just basically the
Sure.
antenna fading in. I don't see any of the letters for the an RKO production yet. So
oh, okay.
And,
yeah.
and you are okay with the storms, right, sound engraver? Professor got us all worried about you.
Storms.
No, I was
Okay.
saying that
You don't even know what we're talking about, then I would say not to worry about it.
I was saying
Okay.
Al and I both had a lot of storms today, and I know you're still over here on the eastish too. So I didn't know if maybe storms were technical difficulties or something was an issue for you down there, but I guess not.
No, actually, even in the worst of storms, the power remains good.
Oh wow,
Good to hear.
I'm
that.
definitely moving to your city then.
Don't move. Don't. Nope.
I just want to give up on life when the power goes out. I'm done. That's it. I've lived a good one. We're done now.
We got to teach you how to make a fire.
So
that
it
sounds
sounds
awful.
like you guys have the two extremes. You have one who has no problem with sound, with the electricity going out, and then you have one who it goes out very easily. I am in a horrible situation that when it goes out, it flickers out. So I have it for a moment, and then it's gone, and I'm still getting that. I don't. Can you do something about the gain? I don't know why.
My computer is completely off.
Uh-oh. Agent Boomer for $5. Thank you, sir. So I checked out the novel Laura from my public library. The author loved her adverbs and dialogue attribution. Yeah, those older works, the certain styles change. You'll see that a lot. I warn my students when we read oh my gosh, what's the book called? Natty Bumppo, Last of the Mohicans. I warned them about this vast opening intro. I was like, okay, styles change, just give it time. You're going to hear about the whole forest before you get to the action within it, but it's all good. So, fellas, you guys need a few moments because we can always vamp for another minute or two before we start. If you guys
No,
need a second.
just go. I'll stay on. I'll mute myself when I'm not actually saying something.
All right, well, just let us know if you need us to do anything. Okay, so I don't know who all is going to watch with us, but I know plenty of people in the chat just like to hang out with us as we watch. That is perfectly fine too. Got 16 watching still, which is good. So I will say 3, 2, 1, play, and when I say the word play, that's when we hit the button. And let me turn my little remote back on. Okay, So here we go. 3, 2, 1, play. And you were just seeing the RKO logo right now, but I will say that as these credits roll, if you didn't know this was a film noir, if I didn't tell you this was a film noir, you would have no way of knowing. You've got this beautiful scenery, this sweet romantic sounding music, it's very. We joked last time about subverting expectations and how you can do that in a film noir, not a Star Wars movie. And this is Jacques Tourneau is very much about doing that. So he likes to pretend it's just a romantic movie or something. Even times when we have our femme fatale and whatnot, we will see them introduced as though they're a romantic couple, or that's the kind of story it's going to be. But it'll turn the tables on you quickly. So,
and even when you see what the novel, the book was based on, Build Those Gallows High.
Yeah, Build My
Sounds
Gallows
like
High.
it sounds like it could be a Western until you see this.
Yeah. Very
So
true.
we watched this. I saw it for the first time just a moment ago, just before.
Oh,
we
really?
started. Yeah, and Nanette did too. And I've decided, in my opinion, it's still a happy ending.
Still a happy ending. Okay, gotcha. Yeah, it's an interesting ending. We'll definitely talk about it because there are some things to be said for it in terms of, well, this happened at least. Yeah. So we've got this interesting character who zips in upon this idyllic scene. Clearly doesn't really fit. He's all in black, got the trench coat and the hat and everything, acting a bit abrupt.
And I thought he was the main archetype, that archetypal character, because he's the first one we see.
The detective character? Yeah.
Right.
I mean, and he's doing detective work at first. Yeah, go.
Sorry. What a dick move to match the kid.
I said the exact same thing.
Yeah, it is. I mean, in his defense, he didn't know the kid was actually deaf. He thought he was just ignoring him, being a jerk. But still, it is pretty rude. And Lister for $4.99. Thank you, sir, with the super chats. You don't have to do that. Just hanging out and drawing. Still have some trouble with anatomy. Oh well, that's just something I'll have to accept while doing my art. Hey, that's why you practice, man. That's why you keep doing what you're doing right now. Good on you. I really like this kid too. I don't know the name of the actor, but he does a great job of portraying innocence and cunning at the same time. You know what I mean?
And who doesn't like a cafe where you can freeze your fish?
That's because it's a fishing town.
And the dialogue in this is just priceless. It's.
I like Marty.
Yeah, even the banter between the lady running the cafe is good.
I was kind of hoping we'd see her again. She's very likable.
Yeah. I would eat that cafe every day.
Me too.
I like in a second when he leaves, she says, "Guess it was something I said." And the guy there says, "You talk enough." It's like, wow. She's coming in with a damper on everything. H. Boomer says, you say idyllic, but it looks desolate to me. Yeah, idyllic, I guess that's sort of in the eye of the beholder. I just mean that it's obviously not the type of setting. Because film noirs, think about all the ones we've seen, the city is very much a character in each of these, whether it's San Francisco, whether it's L.A., or anything. So, and we'll get to cities. We'll get to San Francisco and L.A. and such like that.
If I may, if we're hearing someone's clicking, and I will just say that will actually be outputted pretty harshly on devices.
Yeah, I don't know what that clicking is.
Is it what I think it is?
It's definitely.
So I was trying to change the time on my laptop. I didn't realize it was so loud.
Oh, no problem. Okay.
Can you go on mute until you actually say something, please?
I don't know what's up.
I thought someone was playing with his R2D2 again.
Nope. I have this toy R2D2. It's like a nervous tick that I'll like click it back and forth, and people are like, "Are you cutting your nails? What is that?" Like, no, I'm sorry, I'll put it down. It's
He's playing with his droid.
So we've been talking about Bailey for all this time, and that's remember like when Laura, we talked her up until you finally meet her. Well, we've been talking about this guy Bailey. What do we know about him thus far? He's got some sort of past. This guy out of town is looking for him. And he's Mr. Romance because he's able to steal that guy's girl.
You know who a young
Robert Mitchum is just great.
You know who he looks like physically to me? I
know who I think he does.
Is like Billy Baldwin.
Oh, okay. I was gonna say Elvis,
A little bit.
like a
Yeah.
like a young Elvis, the way his hair falls and he's got that kind of droopy-eyed sneer, you know.
Yeah.
All I can say is that this gal here is the one that he should be going after.
Yeah,
I'm just
yeah.
saying.
Oh yeah.
And you're right. With our noir films, you've got your femme fatale, and then you usually have it juxtaposed with the good girl. And so we meet this good girl first.
I also think
Even
she's the more attractive of the two.
well, even though she doesn't have as big of a role, the thing she does is very key. Like she goes beyond just being the good girl type to fill the kind of role. You know, she does. We'll talk about some of the things she does when she does them.
When the actress is Virginia Houston, I believe. I wonder if she's related to John Houston.
That's Virginia. I thought her name was like or in her character's name is Anne. Yeah, okay.
Yeah, the character's name's Anne.
So this kid who's deaf and unable to speak there, he's got the sign language. So already Jeff is the outsider. He knows things that people growing up in the small town don't know. He knows ways of communicating, you know, with like that with the sign language and whatnot. There's an idea of in all the film noirs we've watched, there's a concept of you can't outrun your past. You are the sum total of all of your past, the good and the bad. And the sum total of your past is going to have some bearing on your future for good or for bad. That's just kind of one of the general themes of noir. And this movie plays with that theme pretty heavily in some interesting ways, I think.
I like the use of the sign language too. There's something that I never thought about before that came up in Star Trek. Worf says a silent form of communication. You know, it's stealthy. And there is something in that I see here, you know.
Mm-hmm.
He had, like you just said, he has a way of communicating. He can see what the guy is saying, you know.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. Can read people, and that's the job of a private detective, which we'll find out he used to be.
I think right when he was saying, you know, what do you want me for? In so many ways, that's the only expression of his that looks a little bit pensive and a little nervous. From here on, he just has that really relaxed expression in his eyes and his face.
Yeah, it's either like he doesn't worry or he's reserved to the fate or something. It's yeah. You can't see the manner in his acting though. You're right.
I
And
forgot. I love
go
his
ahead.
voice, just the way he talks.
Mm-hmm.
It's a little
That
bit
low.
of a right. He doesn't really stretch his mouth or jaw. It's really just kind of really nice and quiet.
Kind of reminds me of Bing Crosby in that regard.
Mm.
Just kind
Oh,
of kind of falls out of his mouth.
Yeah.
And it's a nice juxtaposition with Joe here, who's like the fancy boy, you know, kind of a little bit more uptight. We'll see him in the flashback. He starts out very uptight, but he likes to try to, you know, not roll his words, but just be a little bit more polished.
Yeah.
And Joe can also sometimes put on this act of, hey, I'm just the henchman. What am I? You know, I'm just somebody. I just work for somebody. Just doing. They don't let me have many mistakes and so forth. And then he can also, like, you'll see, like, whoa, no, I don't know about that innocent act, you know, either. You know, I won't spoil it for people watching it, but just like the young deaf boy, I forget his name, if we even ever hear his name, but that sense of cunning and innocence.
I think he's simply known as the Kid.
The Kid, yeah.
Yeah, he's Dickie Moore.
That's the actor's name? Okay.
Yeah.
This reminds me, Al, you'll appreciate this. In The Quiet Man, when John Wayne's talking to Marino Harris, like, if we were back in the States, I would just roll up to your driveway, honk the horn, and you come out and we go out for a date. And she's like, I'll never go out. Just somebody honks the horn and as we go out to their door or whatever.
She is a lovely woman. I after looking at her IMDb, I now have to watch Tarzan's Peril because she played Jane.
That's where I've seen her before. Thank you for saying that.
Yeah.
I knew I'd seen her in something, but
Opposite Lex Barker as
Okay.
Tarzan.
I love Tarzan. The whole mythos, the movies. I do a whole unit on Tarzan in my American Heroes course, and we go through all the way to the Disney and beyond. It's just such a good classic American myth. I like the lighting in the car here. She is the good girl, so she's in this sort of pure light, and he's got various shadows upon him, as he would, for his past.
And that kind of lighting naturally ages someone. So that sign of age can also come from that experience and that questionable past.
I was also going to say, if I was doing the lighting on this, I'd want to look at her more than I want to look at him. So,
Troy, do you think she's pretty or something? I'm not getting that from you. I don't know.
Definitely my type. Yeah.
Well, I can see a strong resemblance between a certain blonde among us and Virginia Houston. So I understand your point there.
I'm waiting for Troy to get hit with a bottle.
I was trying to smooth that over, like, Netter looks like her. And
that is what I was going for, but I mean, if that didn't come across,
it did not come across.
I just connected the dots a little more firmly.
That's right.
And added a few extra dots.
Dot, dot, dot,
which
dot,
you did in my writing, and I greatly appreciate.
I took it into the spirit it was intended.
Oh, very good.
She knows.
That's
She
good.
knows me. See,
Aww. That's so sweet.
she can look at me and know what I'm thinking. I don't even usually need to say stuff.
Oh,
That creeps people out too.
disgustingly cute. Now look at the body language. I love how he's just slumped back.
Mm-hmm.
And now his partner is trying to be slumped back, but he can't because he's not quite as experienced. He's just waiting. Kirk Douglas's character, of course, Wit. I love that his name is Wit Sterling.
Mm-hmm.
Sterling Wit. Anyone? He has a Sterling Wit. Like a little on the nose, but good naming there. And then you've got Joe, of course, running around, pretending like he's in charge or something. And Wit usually slams him down pretty harsh.
And when you look at Kirk Douglas here, he so young, and I see his son is a spitting image of him.
Yep.
Yeah.
He needs no paternity tests for
Even
Michael.
sounds like him.
Yeah. Yeah, that little smile to the voice and stuff.
Yeah.
I think this was his second film too, if I'm remembering correctly. But this film did sort of establish him in this type of role for a while.
I have a question. I've seen this now in a few of these films. When someone lights someone else's cigarette, is that a form of service or subservient or?
It's just polite, but yeah, it is kind of service-ish.
Yeah.
Service-ish, yeah.
Because Joe just did that for Douglas's character.
Yeah. I think it can be played a couple different ways. Remember in Kiss Me Deadly too, how Hammer would keep stealing the cigarettes of the detective, and they would go back and forth, pulling it out of each other's pockets and stuff. And it was like a power play.
Yeah.
You'll see some cigarette etiquette later on in the movie with the taxi driver.
Oh, that's right.
But it's yeah, if we don't live in that cigarette culture anymore, so it's really hard to follow it. But it's this kind of thing where when matches are involved, it can be inconvenient. So you always, whenever possible, want to light a cigarette for someone, just because it can be cumbersome if you don't.
Oh, okay. That's good to know.
Speaking of Kirk Douglas too, his the way he pulls off that role, there's a sense of danger behind his smile, and yet he's not the kind of lash out, make real threats danger. What makes it all the more dangerous, at any moment he could crack or something, it just, he puts me on edge. His character does, in a good way.
He maintains his calm. He doesn't lose it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. There's a line later when Jeff says something about that it hurts your feelings, and he's like, I went out and buried my feelings about 10 years ago. Forgot where the map was or something like that. I forget what it was, but
It does establish he believes himself to be unreachable, unhurtable. He feels he's in a position of power.
yeah.
And again, I like that candle.
Interesting. Owen Lister asked if Kirk Douglas would be a good Batman Bruce Wayne.
I could see it, sure.
I never thought of that, but yeah, maybe.
Back then, yeah.
Everyone would know that chin.
Yeah. Agent Boomer asked if I liked the Tarzan movie from a couple years ago, the one with Margot Robbie as Jean. I have it, and you have yet to watch it. I feel like an horrible, hypocritical Tarzan fan for not watching it yet, but I have it. I need to watch it though.
I didn't even know it existed.
It was a Warner Brothers film. It didn't get a lot of play, but Samuel L. Jackson was in it. What's his name from True
Sam
Blood?
Jackson is what?
I think it's sort of a futuristic tale. Like it takes place after Tarzan and Jane have been around for a while, but I think he's sort of the role of the Frenchman who found him.
Okay.
Not quite a Frenchman though. I don't know. I need to watch it.
I think one of the Skarsgårds is
Yeah, the Skarsgård.
Tarzan.
Yeah. So good detective work here. She likes places tropical, but she got vaccinated. Well, you don't get vaccinated for Florida, so he just keeps going south and looking for it, going in all the usual touristy places, and eventually gets lucky. So good detective work we see right from the get-go of his work here.
Literally focuses on the weight of her baggage.
Mhm.
That's one of the clues that he uses to try and track her.
Yeah.
I thought you were saying that figuratively for a second.
No, literally, yeah.
Now the entrance of Jane Greer's character here, Kathy Moffat, is she's all in white. And again, you think about this could be like the introduction of a romantic moment in a romance movie or something like that. But this is why you'll see as we watch this movie why Jane Greer, Kathy Moffat here is right up there with Barbara Stanwyck and Double Indemnity for like which one's the best femme fatale. I can't quite tip it one way or the other, but it's pretty impressive.
So one thing I want to say as a man here, and this refers back to finding the other girl more attractive. She comes in and she's looking, smoking, right? But this is a perfect example of how when you get to know somebody, they can become more or less attractive as you get to know them.
Very true.
In my opinion.
No,
that'll bear out as you kind of see her going forward.
I think that's a general human truth.
I think she gets less attractive, in my opinion, as I watch this film.
Well, at first, she gets more attractive in the context of their relationship because she starts to be sort of cutesy, and we get this like, oh, that's so sweet, they're in love, and then she's got a lot of layers to her, which is why I think she's a great femme fatale.
She's like an onion.
Now,
And I
knew
mean
it.
that.
As soon as I said the word onion, I knew it. I was like, oh,
I was waiting.
Nope.
Waiting for who was going to be the one to say it.
It applies in this one, I think.
now I want to know a sincere reaction. Nanette, what do you think of that hat?
Actually, I like the hat.
Yeah, I knew it because I saw that hat and I was thinking, I think Nanette's gonna like that hat.
Better than that
I
ugly
have one
one
that's
from
similar,
last week.
actually.
Oh, you have? Oh, that's.
Uh-huh.
Do you have a picture of you in that hat?
Oh, I don't think so.
I know, I'd have to look.
that would be nice. Yeah, we'll share it.
Yeah.
I love the reaction shot as he's giving his spiel. He's talking about, just being here, lonely, blah, blah, blah. And it just cuts to her smoking her cigarette and staring at him like she's not buying it, And then she gives her spiel, which seems like a total brush off, except for that one little at the end there. I go there sometimes,
Yep.
Now, here's the thing, though. Is her hair real?
Yes.
Yes, I believe it is. What I was going to
Yes,
say
it is
about the
real.
hat is the hat goes so well with the outfit, and that makes all the difference.
That's true.
Oh, and Lister talked about Batman again. Yeah, those are the types. That's why Batman is built on the noir foundation. Catwoman is a femme fatale, 100%. Barbara Gordon, the good girl, and so forth. Yeah. Oh, Agent Boomer said, I'm still taking your take on the Dumbo remake. I doubt it's going to be good. I do have it. Need to watch it at some
It
point.
actually came out. I didn't know they actually went through with it.
It's on DVD now. I've got it. Yeah,
Wow.
said it out of allegiance to Tim Burton and Michael Keaton and Danny DeVito all together in it. I kind of had to buy it, but I imagine it's
So
going to be.
I actually went in on one of those Disney, buy the DVD collection things, and every month you buy a DVD or two. And I always avoid the live action remakes. I hate them. I don't want to own them, with the exception of Maleficent because Nanette likes it. And that's not really a remake.
Yeah. So watch this now. Is they come together. So she sees him there, and yet she goes to a different table. She's going to let him do the pursuing. And there's a scene here. I think it's here, or when they're at the bar. No, it's here. You see this balcony behind them, and there's this post between them. You'll see this a lot whenever you see the two of them in different contexts. You'll see something between them, like a facade, or something like that. Well, we can pay attention to their surroundings a lot. Tournier likes to use props to speak to relationships of characters. You're going to make every guy you meet a little bit curious.
Now, do you also notice she's only wearing one glove right now?
Yeah, she took the one off, didn't she, to light the cigarette or something?
Because
she holds it.
It's very difficult to light a lighter with a glove on, but she's, of course, holding the cigarette in the gloved hand.
Yeah.
Again, I'm only commenting on cigarette culture, something that there's no big meaning there. It's just a natural thing for a smoker to do.
Well, a good director will try to use anything like that, more or less, depending,
She reminds me of like Anne Lockhart or June
I can see
Lockhart, the Lockharts.
Yeah, I can see that.
Similar eye and
June
facial
Lockhart is
feature.
beautiful.
Yeah.
Now, I like this dialogue because it's very telling, too. He comments on her ability to gamble. She's like, oh, is there a right way to gamble? He says, well, there's a way to lose slower, at least. And that's pretty telling on the goings of the film and the consequences of his actions throughout the film and such.
He comments that he doesn't specify what his way of gambling is, but you figure it's probably something more like poker, where he's got some control by sizing someone up.
Just dive right on in there, buddy.
But she kisses back, gets that breath. Now they're surrounded by fishing nets.
Someone's
And
getting hooked.
Yeah. Yeah, there's that. I mean, there's several different levels. Absolutely that. And then their conversation here is pretty telling. So she knew all along. So the idea of catching a fish, it's like Wit sent him to catch her. But as you said, Troy, he's getting hooked on her. We see that, we know it. And then in context of what goes on in the later film, this is really his fished in moment, if only he could slip through the net now.
Well, and again, this is me just being judgmental, but just as I find her less and less attractive as we find out more and more about her, I have less and less sympathy for him as the movie goes on.
Well, he truly does think he falls for her act, right? So you could say, well, he's gullible or whatever, but he truly is taken in by the person she's putting forth to be. And she does do a good job of putting forth this, I'm truly in love with you. I'm just a innocent victim, and such and such.
I mean, just the wind against her hair like that, she kind of reminds me of like Dorothy from Wizard of Oz. She has that youth about her in that scene.
Sense of innocence and youth, yeah.
I was reading some of the trivia on IMDb about the kissing scenes here, and she said when they were first about to kiss, she saw something on his lips and asked him about it, and they thought it was the makeup was weird, but it turned out to be chewing tobacco.
Oh no! Gross. Gross. So he's crossed the line. He's letting Wit know that he's there, but he's not telling Wit about the fact that he found her. Now look at the difference in her now. The Kathy we see now is not the guarded, not the. She's a very different woman here.
Very carefree, very willowy.
Mm-hmm.
No, she's not.
Much more youthful.
Man, okay. I get this vibe from the two Pacellis.
Jane Greer was 5'5", and Napoleon was 5'6" or 5'7".
It's almost
that.
it's almost like Jane Greer is Troy's Laura for Nanette last week.
Yeah. Yeah.
Maybe.
That's exactly the vibe I'm getting.
So, but here's the thing, though, right? You talk about the cutesy, and she runs up looking all fresh faced with her shoes off and everything, and now she's all wet and all giggly, and but things that happen later completely erase all that. Any positivity you would have I see in it as a guy is completely undone. That was all an illusion. That's all BS.
Well, it should be an illusion. That's kind of part of the concept,
That's the
Doesn't have to
fatale.
be, though. You're looking for the girl, though, where it's not an illusion, where it's real. And I kind of feel like he kind of had that.
Well,
Well, no, at this point he hasn't yet.
Yeah, this is
what I'm
before.
saying.
And one thing later when we see his actions after he's kind of sucked back into this, he really is incredibly loyal to Anne throughout this whole film. Once we get past this flashback, when he finally meets her and stuff, I'll point out some of the things I think was pretty telling for the things he was doing. But I think a good femme fatale has to have very expressive eyes. We saw that with Barbara Stanwyck. We see that with Jane Greer.
And her eyes are catching the light more than her earrings, more than any of her clothing.
Yeah,
and he's totally in shadow.
Well, that's the lighting, though.
Oh, yeah,
that's a good point.
It's not only the lighting, but is she like almost got like tears in her eyes almost?
Yeah, no, it's
because they are shining like that.
And I didn't notice that until you guys brought this up. But I mean, that's the key grips are there. The lighting they adjust it just for certain certain effects, and it's
And that earring is hanging in shadow, so it's not going to glint too much.
But I think that was intentional.
No, I agree with you.
And now a very different Jeff too. He's whistling. He's not just a laid back, watching, observing.
Now, Al, his tie, he's wearing his tie rather short.
Yes, it is.
Nanette commented on that earlier too.
I love that line. I hate surprises myself. You want to just shut the door and forget it? And that's, of course, is, boom, talk about tension. The last person in the world they want to see.
Yeah.
Now, of course, he had a hat. His hat did not match his suit. So what the heck's going on?
You noticed it didn't stay on long.
The dialogue, it's such a skating on thin ice of danger there with the two of them, but
I do like that. I'm here to see a man about a horse, and then he continues on. I'm literally here to see a man about a horse. Whether it's true or not, it's a good story.
Mm-hmm. And he is a gambler for horse races and stuff like that. So
it may very well be true.
Mm-hmm. And so Wit says he won't He won't harm her. This is the woman that shot him. He truly wants her back. And you think about him collecting prize horses or whatever. I think she was just part of his collection that he doesn't want, to have escaped.
And if you deal with horses, sometimes you like a little feisty in your horse.
And you're not sure when he says it. He says, "I don't care about the 40,000." Okay, fine. Maybe that's true. Maybe that's not. Later on, you kind of get the impression it's totally true, because when he's talking about $1 million situation and he's willing to spend 50,000 to fix it. Okay. 40,000 doesn't mean anything to this guy.
Mm-hmm.
I'm getting a little ahead of the story though.
They mentioned Napoleon, not in connection to this or anything though, but for Kirk Douglas being a shorter man than the others, but still being able to portray such power and is really a good performance.
Again, I just want to defend Napoleon. He was 5'6". That's still a respectable height.
You
Not
want
nearly
to
as short as
defend
people say.
Napoleon?
At least on that one thing. If we're going to condemn him for something that he deserves, not misrepresenting his height.
I want to condemn him for eating the whole pig ice cream sundae.
Okay.
Bill and Ted.
Napoleon, yeah.
Gotcha. Stephen Cruz wants a timestamp. I am 3153, 3154, 3155.
Yep.
I'm about a
you.
second ahead. You gotta like Wit. He may be the quote unquote, antagonist, but he's kind of likable.
Mm-hmm. Like that. Now, again, this is the power struggle because he's somebody who is used to owning people, and to a certain level, certainly differently than he owns Kathy or quote unquote wants to own her. He feels he owns Jeff too. Jeff's a good snoop. He when he says, no one quits me,
Yeah. Great line.
Mm-hmm.
Well, and he proves it to be true later.
Mm-hmm. Stephen Cruz, thank you for that super chat, by the way. But you never have to super chat; just ask for a timestamp. But it's very much appreciated. Alyssa gets to eat this month, so thanks.
That's
Sorry, honey. The super chats were low this month. Had to buy the store brand cereal.
better start budgeting and stop giving her that strawberry ice cream for McDonald's.
He does love that. And I was on it too. There was a great line too. We talked over because there were so much cool things to point out. But when they're right there sitting down underneath the nets, and he says, or she says, I didn't. You have to believe me. I didn't try to kill him or something like that. And he just looks at her and says, "Baby, I don't care." That's such a. He's completely hooked. And you think for such a great detective, how could he not see through this or that? But it's because he's duped by it.
Mm-hmm.
And maybe that's another reason why I struggle with his character, because we've admired these other, hard-boiled detectives, won't have anything pulled over on him, and this guy is so easily led around by his proclivity.
Well, it's interesting because this isn't. He is a private detective, and there's a lot of detective work in the film, but I wouldn't call this a hard-boiled detective story.
No, yeah.
Because of these great big differences, like that's one of them that you just mentioned.
No, you went everywhere with a guy being led by the wrong head.
Now this, this was his old partner that he saw, and he would know his own partner's ways. So it was very easy to be, to shake him off. He's not following him. He's sure of that. So now it's safe to see Kathy.
And kind of again going back to this, because we've heard this in previous films like Big Sleep, kind of a dissension, a very serious dissension of maybe 1 to 2 brass instruments where you just go down, and it's very disturbing. Now we have that kind of romantic music, entering here when they meet,
Mhm.
but that is a very good way of foreshadowing with that kind of dirge like brass, and it's not a whole
Mhm.
brass section; it's just 1 to 2 instruments.
You know, a lot of these fellows, I was wondering about her. I kept looking at her. Is there something odd? As we're so used to having these women with their hair up or styled, and hers is just this flowing,
Mm-hmm.
flowing,
That's nice,
wavy
yeah.
hair.
Yeah, we're gonna see some key things with the hair later, but yeah, we've already mentioned it and talked about it a number of times. The point out the next time that dirge happens there, Sound Engraver, if you will, because I do like the idea of that casting an ominous pall on, say, the romance
Mm-hmm.
music and whatnot. But
Well, it just happened too with his partner showing up as well.
okay,
And
gotcha. That's where.
not quite a dirge effect, but the entrance of brass.
Okay. No, for once, the partner's in his place of power, who's always been standing in his shadow.
I like how she leads with that.
She likes to be in power. She likes to call the shots. We'll see her become more transparent about that towards the end of the film. But yeah,
That's because she's evil, right, Troy?
I guess. Absolutely. Look, if you gotta go sneaking around to see a girl, maybe you ought not to be seeing that girl. Okay, that's all I'm saying.
That's for you cats in there in the chat. All of you. Can I say though that her eyes are really pretty in this scene?
Yeah. They're
oh
stunning.
yeah. And look at the camera angles suddenly change. We get these canted angles now because the situation's going topsy-turvy.
And look at those shadows
Yeah.
up behind them, so the light's coming up.
I didn't notice those shadows when I first saw this movie. That's
Oh, yeah. Because those shadows look so much larger, or make them look so much larger.
Mm-hmm. And again, that theme of your past looming beyond you, or
Right.
behind you.
Casting a long shadow, so to speak.
Mm-hmm. Oh, that's what did it.
I love the sound that goes into this, all
Yes.
this punching and hitting, and it sounds brutal.
It
And
does.
there's no
Those
music.
sound guys that do
And
the
look at the look on her face.
Yeah.
She's
Yes.
enjoying it.
yes,
Yep.
she is. Again. That's
Oh.
Yep.
Like no twitching of the face, no
Nope.
remorse, no
Nope.
shock.
It had to be done. You weren't going to do it.
Mm-hmm. And because he wouldn't do it, she's going to provide some consequences to him here. Wolf Time Media said, "No mean girls banter." And then she leaves him, walks out on him because he wouldn't do what she wanted him to. He
Yeah.
wouldn't.
I
be
want
her
to
student.
She
say
sees him as a wimp.
I want to say the brilliance of sound design in these films, because we see his back, he's kind of turning to look at the dead body, and then we hear the car engine go, and
Mhm.
then we see that she's gone. I love that idea of pacing.
And then you get the banknote reveal.
Yeah.
That right there kind of wipes the whole slate for me. It's like, okay,
Oh, not the gun, not the killing, but the lie. that she,
if she was the innocent, need to be protected, need to be rescued from the bad guy type, then I'd say, you know what, fine, you do what you got to do in order to, get out from under the bad guys. But
Well,
that is the reveal that she's one of the bad guys too.
And he felt the same way you did, because after that, he washed his hands of her. I don't want to see her again. I don't care if I ever see her again. I'm with you now, Anne. So that was his cutting off of it as well at that point anyway.
See, and I think she has really pretty eyes too, and they're much softer.
So, moral of the story: the femme fatale has to look exactly like the type that Troy likes for her to be forgivable.
Exactly.
The femme fatale can't be an evil witch with a B. She's got to at least be redeemable.
Fatale.
She's not my kind of femme fatale.
I mean, you drew the analogy to Selena Kyle. At least Selena Kyle gives you the impression she wants to reform. She never actually killed anybody.
Yeah.
The
cool thing about the Batman mythos is they take those noir tropes and they kind of extend or expand them a little bit. Yeah. I like that scene with the doors opening and the cameras moving through it. Like we're forward momentum in the story. We're passing a threshold.
We're also walking behind them as characters.
Mm-hmm.
I love those windows and that room.
That scene there with the cigarette was an improv. He already had a cigarette in his hand because he's a smoker.
Oh, okay.
And he went into the scene with a cigarette in his hand when Kirk Douglas was supposed to offer him a cigarette. Then he kept it in.
Smoking. One listener, 499. No offense, but you guys are making the main character sound like a complete simp right now. Troy is, but he's not.
That's
he's
how
not.
I see him. I see him that way. Yes.
He decided, and once he learned the truth about her with that banknote, then he's done with her. That's
sort of for a while until
he's forced back to operate with her. But in terms of love, I think he's done. Do you think he falls in love with her again?
I'm not entirely sure, but I got that impression that towards the end he was thinking there might still be something there.
I need Netter's opinion on the matter. Netter?
You're muted.
What was the question?
Well, what do you think of this detective, this private detective? Do you
is
think
he just a
fallen
dupe?
for her? Yeah, exactly. Is he duped still?
Oh, he's the total dupe. It's like, how can you not see what's right in front of you?
I thought so.
I mean, she has lied to him from the get-go, and he's just believing it all. And then he'll find out it's a lie, but he still goes back to her. It's like, you're an idiot.
This will be interesting because I like the fact that we've got a couple different takes on this. Because when he quote unquote goes back to her in elements or in degrees, I kind of see it as him manipulating her. But it'll be interesting to look at it now and try and see it from your perspective too, and see the depth of it here and see what goes on.
See, I'm kind of with you on this one, Professor. Shocking, by the way.
Then it must be wrong.
I don't think it's really earlier.
I'm gonna come through this
earlier.
do something.
Yeah, we've seen this earlier this afternoon, but it's like every step of the way, I just saw him deceiving her. Her deceiving him and him believing it. And it's like, oh, wait, you lied to me.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, never mind. And like, still go with her. It's like, dude, open your eyes.
Well, and Professor even pointed it out when she tells him something and he goes, oh, I don't even care.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, then you're an idiot.
Yeah.
Look
at that disgust though he's got in his eyes right now. And she's in white again. And he said, look at what says she's back in the fold.
Mm-hmm.
She's part of his collection.
Yeah, I don't think that was a religious reference.
Yeah, exactly.
Now, I think I can agree to an extent what Troy and Nanette are saying, but there's a scene way down later in the road where it does clinch that he could be having just started, playing with her to get this whole thing resolved and behind him. And I'll bring it up when the scene happens.
Well, and I think so. And I think, because we'll see it, I think the ending bears that out.
Yeah, not quite that far though. I think a couple things happened before.
But I'm saying if there are any lingering, but anyway, if you're in love with someone, no matter what they do to you, there's always going to be that twinge. You're never going to be 100% over them, unless, of course, they might like shoot you or something. Or try to, but
Funny you say that.
even a betrayal or anything like that, you may still have something there for them. You're never completely over someone. I think.
I think that's Al the hopeless shipper talking.
Well, no. I'm just trying to say there's always going to be, like I said, it may not be love, but it may be a nostalgia.
For the nostalgic, though. But not everybody's given to that.
Well, I'm just trying to make some
what you're saying makes really good stories and writing. I would agree with you in that. I don't know if I'd say that's the case all aboard in reality, but I hear what you're saying.
No, what I'm saying, but I think it's a heavier percent. It's a higher percentage than not.
Look how apathetic he is. Sure, I believe you. He's not giving her emotion, and she doesn't like that. Mm-hmm. She wants, and she even says later, it kills me that you're looking at me with that hatred. She wants him under her power, and the more he shows her that he's not even remotely affected by her, the worse it is for her to handle. If he would at least be angry with her, she might have something to work with.
Here's my question for you, though. Okay, he opens the bank draft, sees that the $40,000 deposit. Now he knows she did take the money. She lied to him. He originally took this job. Why didn't he go, I better get on this and continue the job? Go get her, bring her back. Where's the money? He didn't. At that point, he let her go.
He would have had to admit to Whit that he ran away with her for a time.
He could stick to his story and say, yeah, she was always ahead of me. I finally caught up to her.
But he'd gone into hiding so much so that his partner was looking for him.
I was embarrassed because I had failed, but now I've succeeded.
He's a jerk. He's a horrible person.
Yeah.
But again, here's one of those things where she lied to him. He found out that she lied to him, and then he just doesn't do anything about it. It's like,
I assume this is a movie the Pacellis will not be rewatching.
We're watching it the second time in his many hours.
Now, this is where I was wanting to point out how he really is, even though he's having to do some detective work again, he's not back to his old ways. He really is, I would argue, being loyal to Anne, because this woman's basically throwing herself at him. If this was, Bogart's Marlowe, they'd be spending the evening together. But he's very much hands off, very much let's just do this work and get out. And I do admire his detective work too, seeing through this ploy or this scheme that they've placed him on.
Well, and that's what I was going to point out. He's not so stupid so as not to know that he's being set up. And of course, he knows, if I dabble here, I'm dead, because this is a honey trap to begin with.
Mm-hmm.
And, you bring up Bogart. Bogart wanted to play Jeff.
Really? I didn't know that. Oh, cool.
Yeah, he wanted to do it, but it was the whole studio thing.
Mm-hmm. He'd have been good in it, but I like Robert Mitchum. Also, Al, I have to say thank you, because when I was sorting your CDs, Alyssa found your Alvin and the Chipmunks X-Files CD, and she's
yeah.
that's now going with her everywhere.
That's one of those ones I had to look at for a few moments.
Well, you made a little girl very happy.
Well, I thought so.
She loves her chipmunks.
Hope you're enjoying your Andromeda CD.
Very much so. I love that. Just remember, I'm coming out of this in one piece. She is just, you're talking about a honey trap. She is.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I'm telling you. Wow.
I wouldn't mind getting stuck in that trap.
It's a little obvious, though, is what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Teeters.
It would have been funnier if the word was slightly slanted.
Uh-huh.
I think the cab driver's my favorite character.
He's
I
cool,
like
yeah.
him.
And it says something about Jeff too to inspire that kind of loyalty just from his short time when he was in San Francisco with Kathy.
Mhm.
Yeah.
It kind of makes you wonder, what the past story was, because there's got to be a story there,
Mm-hmm.
hmm
So you don't have to tell me nothing. I know.
No, he said nothing.
Yeah.
So interesting. This unfinished room
Mm-hmm.
next to it. It's being fixed up. Something's being fixed. And as he just told the cab driver, I'm in a frame. I just can't quite, see the details yet.
That's why I like the other movies we watched with, Sam Spade and all that, because he didn't let the wool get pulled over his eyes. He carefully looked at everything and evaluated where this guy is being led around by the nose, basically. And he's just not getting it.
Well,
She
that's
didn't
the
mean
difference
nose.
between hard boiled, right? Where
Yeah.
that wouldn't go past the hard boiled, but
Yeah.
the detective
The
character,
noir hero.
right, can have those obstacles and temptations.
Yeah.
Be a little soft boiled.
I love this guy. I love this line where she exits the room. So, something about her cousin is like, well, I can't stand him. Implying that he's not. I can't.
Oh,
I
that's
can't do
right.
this justice. Let's listen.
He says your cousin's lovely. He says, no, he's not. He's a bookie and such and such or something. Yeah.
Yeah.
Here it is.
Yep.
I love how he eats that olive.
Yeah.
Takes a good actor to know how to eat.
No, maybe he's just experienced with martinis.
Well, it's like Brian Regan, the stand-up comedian. He knows how to play eat so well.
Oh, well. I like the little subtle warning because he doesn't know all the details, but he gets the point that this would be awfully convenient were he to die and his fingerprints were there and such. So there's a subtle warning to him.
Unfortunately, he takes the hint a little too late.
Yep.
Just a minute too late.
Great martini.
I will say there's something to be said for a good martini. That gives you a lot of leverage.
With Jane Greer as the femme fatale, maybe.
I'll put up with the femme fatale for a good martini.
Excuse me. Sorry for the coughing.
Yeah, I like I like the choice of name for that character. We don't really see him, but his name is Leonard Eels.
Mm-hmm.
Lion eel.
Yeah, very slippery, but very dangerous.
Mm-hmm.
And her name too, Meta, which is basically meta. Interesting. Wait, I think yeah, I forget the writer, the screenwriter, but sorry, excuse me, guys. James Cain, the writer for the novel that Double Indemnity was based on, was said to have aided in the screenwriting. He's not billed, he's not credited, but he's said to have worked a little bit on this for Jacques Tourneau.
Mm. I love how dark that area looks, where you can't see some of the walls completely.
Mm-hmm.
I love that.
And you can only do that in good black and white. I mean, you can achieve some kind of stuff in color, but that was the extreme use that film noir really brought about. So cool.
Love it. I mean, that shot, it looks like a portrait or a painting of some kind.
Mm-hmm. I'll be right back, guys. I'm gonna have this coughing fit out.
Okay. Sounds good. Now, always listen for that string tremolo where it goes really rapid, and
It definitely lets you know, oh, this is getting a little tense.
something's about to happen.
Something's happening. Something good.
Not for him.
Look at that grill, guys.
I wish I had Jesse's grill.
This kind of music is really found in a lot of the later 19th century symphonies, and even in opera between scenes where there is no recitative for dialogue or arias and singing. And this is Roy Webb, who I think was Notorious, and I think Maltese Falcon, maybe not. I'll have to look at. He's done two that we've seen.
It's very.
Oh, there's the dirge. That's the dirge. You hear the trumpets and stuff.
Because now the tension was set, and now there's a certain amount of being resigned to a grim circumstance.
Right.
Might be a good name for a film. A Grim Circumstance.
Owen Lister, thank you for $4.99. A He-Man noir would have our character bulky, that the sleeves would be cut off, has little to no facial expression, and cheap, stiff animation. Yeah, I suppose you're right. Depends on what animation house is doing it. There's a lot of variation these days.
Beautiful walking of the brass section, very slow and chromatically rising, just enough to signify waiting and walking and pacing.
Now here's the scene that I was talking about earlier. Watch this.
The cigarette.
Mhm.
Yeah.
I like it. She's worth losing. $4.99 from Owen Lister again. You're the man. A He-Man noir would have our character bulky, that the sleeves would be cut off, has little to no facial expressions, and cheap, stiff animation.
Troy
Troy read that?
Yeah, I had read it.
You're talking smack
And
about He-Man to the wrong audience around here, Mr. Lister.
Yeah, I was doing some commenting about different animation styles. About what I wanted to say about that cigarette scene is, and this is true for anybody who smokes. They understand this. If you have a shake up, you want to have a cigarette because it'll calm your nerves. So that's why he says, you want to finish it, go right ahead. Because he knows whatever happened, you need it.
Well, yeah, I mean that plays on him always having a cigarette in every scene.
Yeah.
He's always tense.
Because you don't really see a lot of smoking in movies today, I noticed that they were lighting up cigarettes. It seemed like every 2 minutes. It's like, oh my gosh, people, you're gonna get cancer.
No, this was the 40s. Cigarettes had vitamins.
Yeah. They also had March of the Dimes, I think, which was they had fundraisers and stuff to battle these things.
Mm-hmm. I like the little smile he gives at the phone. He's starting to see the plan come together. And
one of my favorite entrances coming up.
Mm-hmm.
Because this noir genre is full of these great entrances.
Yeah. Now, this was her part in the ploy to try and send the apartment guy up to check on him and discover the body.
I do want to say that I appreciate that you guys keep the smoking as a visual image within the context of the time that it's set and the time that it was filmed, because obviously smoking has a very different connotation now than it did back then.
Yeah,
far
yeah.
more.
Yeah, but we're
ubiquitous.
not erasing films with people smoking in them, are we?
Amen. Amen.
Exactly.
Now, one thing that, I was thinking of when I watched this the first time is if she wanted to be smart, she should have called for the apartment manager to go up there when our main character was up there to catch him with the dead body.
Mm-hmm.
But instead, he had enough time to clear up the mess, the overturned chairs and all that, hide him in a closet, and get out of there without anyone seeing him.
Well, I think the idea is that she had to give Stefanos enough time to. So it was kind of a luck that he got there first or whatever, because Stefanos gets there just now, or just gets back in just a few moments after they talk here. I think it's like a timing issue, but yeah, I know what you're saying. Oh, and Lister said nowadays people just vape, which makes you look like a pompous jerk. Love her reaction when she sees him come around that corner.
And here we go, more lies that he's uncovered.
And I like that he won't let her turn away. He won't let her play that game. He points her head back. Change sides so smoothly. And you notice how he grips her shoulder the same way he gripped the secretary. These women aren't of the caliber that he has now. That's the idea. Age of Boomer for $5. We're not erasing smoking from old movies. I'm a little worried now that Disney owns every Fox Noir movie. Oh, man. Don't put that out in the universe, Age of Boomer.
Right? Now, Al, do you have anything to say about his knit tie?
Actually, didn't even notice it.
Yeah, I was looking at it, and I was kind of two minds about it, but it's tied well, so I think he pulls it off okay. I've never been able to pull off a knit tie myself.
So you see this a lot in Compulsive Liars. Now we just find out that she was lying even in the last scene when she told him I didn't tell him about Fisher. But every time you catch him in one lie, it's no, but seriously, that's all. That's really that's that. I'm not lying now.
Until
I'm not
you catch
lying
another
now.
one that I have.
Yeah,
to
until you
admit
catch
to.
another
Yeah.
one, and yeah.
See, that's the kind of thing that would make an android lose its mind. If you are lying, then you cannot be telling the truth. But if you are telling the truth, then you cannot be lying. Pow!
I always thought that was a terrible trope because I could totally see a sentient AI saying, "Okay, humans lie. I know this. We'll assume they're lying until we have reason to believe they're telling the truth."
It wouldn't have made a good story, though. Troy.
True. No, you're absolutely right. It needed to work the way it did for that to work.
Now she's putting the here's the ploy. Look, we can go back. It's all fine. It's all fine. And kisses him. Now, see, my reading of this is he's playing along until he can figure out all the missing pieces he doesn't have.
She goes for the kiss. He doesn't
Yeah.
initiate. He just allows her to do it.
And she's desperate. Yeah.
Maybe I'm just being too hard nosed about it, but he lets her go for it, and he almost let her go for it a second time.
But actually, if I may, he really doesn't want to be her obstacle. He has seen what she's done to Fisher,
True.
his partner,
and she is dangerous. He could get dead.
Right. She also has allies.
Mm-hmm. Now, this was telling to me because this is the reveal that Stefanos was the one who went and killed the guy.
Yeah.
So you always just kind of saw him as just the little lackey, the mistreated lackey of Wits, but now you get oh no, he actually does the dirty work,
And he seems really upset by it. I mean, the look on his face is like, I never seen anybody so scared to die.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Like, oh my gosh, I wasn't sure how to handle that.
This is Wit's will.
I mean,
He just
I
It really
ordered a
seemed to
double.
bother him.
What's that?
He's like, I
It
ordered a
really
double.
seemed to bother him.
Sorry.
Yeah.
You know, Owen Lister says, I'm not sure what he's referring to specifically, but it is a great statement. Tropes don't equal bad writing. Nothing new under the sun. Execution is key, not originality.
Very
I
true.
agree with that.
Yeah, very true.
Mhm.
I'm not sure what prompted it, but man, that's a great insight.
I think
Yeah.
Absolutely. There's
right
a reason they exist.
Oh, exactly.
I love this interaction.
Yes. I was sure this was going to be your pick, Prof.
Oh, for the picture. I couldn't find a lot of Robert Mitchum, honestly. I was kind of limited in my choices from this movie in particular. A lot of production stills, and that was about it. I thought that was a salt shaker at first.
That's why they made really cool lighters.
Yeah.
That kind of a Dunhill movement on it. Those
With this camera work.
Oh, yeah.
Gorgeous. Yeah. Into the light and down, descending. Now he's got the taxes, of course, that Whit was worried about.
Yep.
The documents.
I
And, of
totally
course-
understand. Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, go ahead. Yeah, go ahead.
I was just going to comment on the way he had his jacket tied closed. I never did that. I always went to the trouble of actually looping it and pulling it closed the way it's supposed to be fastened. I'm just obsequious.
So shipping the actual documents and yet keeping the case. Nice red herring there. And just in time too, because they pick him up right now.
Yep. And now he's got him out and about. He doesn't care who sees him.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
You shouldn't steal so much. Now this scene, it's just everything.
Yeah. My favorite.
Uh-oh. At least she has enough sense to drop her eye.
I love that he's in power. He lets him hit him once. That evens us. Fold your hands or I'll fold them for you. Even though he's got guns and everything.
I never got, no matter what movie it is, no matter what time period it is, I never got why a character felt entitled to slap a person twice.
Mm-hmm.
Like once is fine. Twice, now you're asking for trouble.
Power play or something, I guess.
I guess.
Note to self: don't slap sound engraver.
That I don't see you should have to make a note for that. But okay.
Wolfton Media, you must like that part too. He said, dude, is he Superman?
Yeah.
That was awesome, right?
Yeah. And he pulls it. He pulls his hand right out of the pocket. That takes a little bit of time.
Mm-hmm. Very fluid.
Yeah.
Very much in power. And this is, I could definitely see Bogart in that kind of.
Yeah, I was just thinking of Bogart right with those lines.
Yeah.
Another power play. He walks over and takes a cigarette from the guy's case.
So, guys, I'm just saying, I'm just throwing this out there. This is teaching us how to conduct ourselves and talk to the other.
Exactly.
So what you're saying, Sound Engraver, is always make sure you have the upper hand in some way, shape, or form.
Right.
Everything else falls into place after that.
Maybe. With a little grace, a little kindness.
kindness,
down.
but power. Reminds
No,
me of
he's-
that. Oh, go ahead.
I was going to say he's not selling her out because somebody had to tell him he's not quite selling her out yet. He's playing this, and I think we'll see his play when he comes and talks to Wit later.
Yes.
I think that's the head of the plan for him. But
That's what I was referring to. That
Yeah.
scene.
I'm sorry, Troy. What were you going to say?
I was just going to make the reference to De Niro's character in Untouchables, where he says, "I always found that you get farther with a kind word and a gun than you do with just a kind word."
I like to just toss the cigarette back inside the room.
That carpet. Yeah.
Total power play. Media says modern media. Everyone speaks in argument, not poised.
Yeah, it's true.
Yeah.
That's the way it is these days.
Yep.
You're so insightful, Wolf 10.
Glad you're streaming now.
Yes.
Oh Wolfie, please tell me do.
I like how she interacts with Stefanos too. Like,
Yeah.
you're below me. We're both part of his collection, but I'm higher than you.
Yeah.
And the way he warns her, it's like the operators listen in, so be careful what you're saying.
Mm-hmm. And that obviously sets it up for why she's being so cryptic with him. Now, this is just the worst thing Wick could possibly hear here. He's completely powerless with the amount of information that he's being given. And none of his goods are coming back to him, quote unquote. What do you think of Stefanos' tie there, Al? The stripes.
Meh.
Yeah, I'm with them on that one.
I don't like it with that shirt.
Yeah, two different styles of stripes. Aged Boomer says she's too pretty to be evil. Oh, Aged Boomer, come on. Come on.
I love this. I knew that boy was no good scene with the newspaper. Mother doesn't even wait a second to jump right on it. Oh, Lister says, I need to work on streaming too. Hey, Prof, Al, Troy, hook a brother from another mother up, will you? Do a video. Get your mic on and start up with a little video.
Wednesdays are open, Owen Lister.
That's right. Now, Anne is absolute loyalty to Jeff. We're really starting to see this here. Now, she believed his story, first of all, and wasn't interested in his past. She cared about him now. You know, you can see her really believing in him in all the right ways, and she won't believe that he's part of this murder. She wants to believe the best for him here. This is going to be a key for the ending, I think, that Troy was talking about too. But she knows the man she fell in love with, regardless of what kind of past he had. Did they say what the name of that town is? Tahoe, or it's supposed to be some little California town? I know because he's staying.
Well, I think it's in between there in Tahoe, isn't it? Because
It's
it
close
was,
to LA.
A lot through the show, so I think that's where that is.
Yeah. Okay. But it's far enough away to kind of be isolated too, for Anne never to have gone anywhere else. And this poor guy just loves her from childhood and is constantly looking out for her best interests. And I like him too because he's not just a two-dimensional heavy. There's a scene later that he talks to Jeff about, and it really kind of puts some depth in his character too. So it's kind of like we're talking with Scoundrels when you got so many different characters, and tropes are good, but you don't want to rely on them to the point that they're crutches.
Mhm.
So if you can flesh out any this or that character that might otherwise be seen as just a trope, that's a good thing.
You can also use them to mislead. You think I'm following this trope and then subvert expectations.
Yeah.
That's a good point. Yeah.
Now, you notice before she starts talking to him, she gets his attention so that he's looking at her. I like that.
Mm-hmm. On Lister says, I'll have to think of what video to make, or at least what topic should I talk about. You should talk about how you're wrong about rotoscoping and that Masters of the Universe is one of the greatest pieces of animation in the history of television. Be a great video.
Are you setting the guy up to get all those dislikes? I don't think that's right.
Oh, and Lister, if you want to wait a couple weeks, we could do that on another study hall, and I'll take your side on that because I'm Filmation. You saw what I just said about it.
Uh-oh.
Filmation cheaped out, my friend. They used a lot of stock footage and did as little movement as possible to get as far as
Adds to
they
the
could.
magic.
I really do like the score for this. There's not really a music theme in this film. It's an overture, it's scene transitions, but the activity that goes on in the orchestra is really necessary when there is no dialogue.
Mm-hmm. It
I
walks you
think
through.
the scene-
Yeah.
I think the scene is rather clever the way it plays out.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It's interesting because, like I said at the beginning, it starts in a scene that's not really supposed to be a noir setting. This, the pretty hills and everything like that. But here in this scene, we have the noir action meeting the idyllic scenery.
Yeah.
We've got somebody about to shoot, and we've got this and that, and
I
again,
love how observant this deaf kid is from seeing him up from a height.
right?
Nice.
Exactly. That's what I loved about this scene, just how it played out. He was just kind of watching, and then whoop.
Yeah.
Drop
Oh.
something.
He called himself a big one.
But it's something you would expect. He's deaf, so he's got to be sharp-eyed.
You can
Right.
imagine
Right.
that seeing shadow or something.
Reeling it in.
I love those falls. Those stones and stuff.
Mhm.
This is my Northwest. Yeah.
Wonder if they got squatches in them woods.
If they did, you'd find them. So this house, it does have that sort of convent-ish
Yes.
look to it.
Mm-hmm.
And it's interesting because when I said that, he said she's back in the fold, and Santa Graver said, and I don't think he means that in a religious context. Yeah, I agree. But I also think that there is a little bit of a cultish, or
Yeah. I mean, that's what I was thinking when you guys were having that conversation. He did kind of mean it that way, as a perversion of that.
Yeah.
and I think Santa Graver said something about the house looking like a church or something. So
When they're driving away from it, and she even wears a headpiece later, that makes her look like part of a convent.
yeah,
Right. She looks like a nun wearing that bed. I pointed that out to Troy as well.
Yeah.
Here's another bit that gets me. She says something about the guys waiting for him downstairs. It's like, how would you know? You were asleep up until a minute ago.
well, talking about that entrance though, him just leaned up against her dresser smoking when she wakes up.
Yeah. These signature entrances. Now, this is the scene coming up with him and his playing the dialogue.
Mhm.
This is the scene that convinces me that he hadn't been fully hers.
Yeah.
coming
too.
back, especially with Wit there.
Yeah. And once again, he's leaning back, not worried about it. And the language he uses for me evokes the Maltese Falcon. When he talks about we got to give him a fall guy or whatever,
Yeah.
he tells her, yeah, you'll be fine. You'll be in Tehachapi. They won't,
Yep.
Yeah, that speech is just very, very Maltese Falcon-esque.
Now it's not 5 characters, it's 3 characters, but it's still the same.
Mm-hmm.
Turning the allies against each other.
Yeah. I like that. I wouldn't try it. You're out of shape. That's the question.
Yeah.
Yep.
And she's desperate, needs people to believe her, needs to maintain that power. You think about the way the boy hooked him with there is no way to prove it's anything but slipping and falling, I mean, I guess
Right.
that even if there's a tear in his jacket, that could have been caused by the rocks.
Well, even if someone says, I saw it happen, he threw his hook up and he pulled him down. Yeah, right. Okay, right. That's how it happened, sure.
I love that.
Yep.
Feed my ego. This is the real Jeff's feelings for her coming out. Now, there's one thing I'll bring up at the end, which for me kind of proves that he knows she's playing him and he's trying to play her back. But I'll say it when we see it, and I'll see what you think about it, Troy and Annette.
Okay.
That's a harsh slap, too.
Yeah,
Her
there was a
reaction.
little bit of echo there.
Yeah. And she really...
But I like that. It's like, tell me how you're going to squirm your way out of this one, because she's lied too many times now.
Mm-hmm.
And Jane Greer had said that the difference between Douglas and Mitchum is Douglas was much more physical.
Mm-hmm.
He's much more of a physical actor. So when he's grabbing her, she said it was tight.
Real. Yeah.
Yeah.
Speaking of tight, look at the half Windsor he's wearing. That's tight.
It's also really, I mean, that's terrifying, the stuff he's saying. You really see the danger of Wit and his powers, like, y'all, it's coming, and it'll be slow, and you'll never know around each corner,
I'll break you.
I love those doors.
Yeah.
Ooh, that look she has.
Yep, there's a resolve. I think at this point, she knows what she's going to have to do.
I think she's as terrifying as Wit is. I think she's a little scarier.
Yeah. Because she's so much behind the surface. He'll tell you exactly what he's going to do. You never know what she's going to do.
That's worse.
I know, exactly.
Easier to know.
Exactly. Now look at the way she's leaning back now. Just some of the similar ways that he has been.
Right.
Because she's got her plan now too.
That's a nice door.
It is, in the framing of it too. We see him going through doors a lot. I've called that out a little bit. Or walking down the steps, we see him passing. It's as though he keeps crossing thresholds that he can't get back through. And again, just the whole theme of you moving along trajectory of your past and whatnot.
Now, I know she's lived there all her life, so she knows the woods. She would have to know to find this location and early in the morning.
Yeah.
Go to the ugly stump.
Well, there you go. Yeah, landmark.
And I like how it stays between them like a grate at first.
Nice.
Until he tells her that I didn't do it. And she believes, as he says, you believe everything I say. And as long as there's a chance that he could get out of this okay and live happily ever after with her, he's back to her.
You do feel sorry for the other guy, though.
Well, yeah, especially with this exchange that they're going to have here in a second. It's really interesting.
He has honor.
Mm-hmm. And this is the one thing that she does, a little bit of the jealous woman. Not jealous necessarily, but she's like, just be absolutely sure you don't have any feelings for her. And of course, he's done with her. Absolutely.
And again, the purity of her saying that. It's like, if that's what you want, that's what you want. Kind of just want you to be happy, but we got to be sure.
Yeah.
It makes me so happy you guys are honoring the pure woman in this movie.
Well, she's a great character. She's not even like the two-dimensional good girl. She's really got some depth to her.
Right.
Plus, she's hot.
Thanks, Al. Big Al. Hashtag keeping it classy.
Incredibly attractive. Yes.
So yeah, he could easily go to the cops here. Now he knows though that Anne loves him. So there's, she would end up hating him, of course, if he did this, but also he just taking her feelings into account is interesting.
Doesn't he look like Dominic Monaghan with that angle in his eyes?
Dominic Monaghan. Remind me who that is?
Meriadoc.
Mary.
Oh, Meriadoc. Oh, that's right. Yeah.
Are you talking about Mitchum or the other guy?
The other guy when he's leaning on his car.
Yeah, a little bit. I was like, oh, I see it in him, but I don't see it in Mitchum.
Mitchum kind of looks like he kind of, and not in a disrespectful way, but he kind of looks like a college kid. He has that face, that expression of a college
sort of
kid.
Devil may care aura about him.
Yeah, a little bit.
That's why I think a young Elvis before his time or something.
I love those doors. Kind of creepy at night, but.
Now there goes his plan.
Oops.
Oops. Yeah.
Well, I wasn't expecting you to be dead.
Now, he had time between that interaction with Anne's old suitor there and coming back here. And we know at the end that he tells the kid to do something. At least I interpret it that way.
Oh, yeah.
So before this encounter, he, or I guess he does make a phone call too at some point. So it could be at that point as well. Actually, yeah.
Now, real quick, Netter, what was it you told me earlier about this headpiece she's wearing? The headpiece that she's wearing? What it was you said about that earlier?
Netter's on mute.
I don't know if she's just telling him or with that nun-like headpiece.
Yeah, I'm on a really old laptop and it does what it wants to do. I was saying that to Troy earlier. I said the way she's wearing that hat or whatever it is makes her look like a nun, like she's trying to put forth her innocence, quote unquote.
Mm-hmm. And especially in light of talking about her being in what looked like a nunnery and whatnot.
Mhm. And you guys were also mentioning about her hair just being so free flowing, whereas a lot of the femme fatales had their hair up and such like, and how her hair was also part of her, kind of part of her facade. Like it would, the blowing in the face, as Santa Graver was talking about, and I think Al was, or somebody was talking about how it kind of falls around her face, but now it's covered.
Yeah.
So now she's really trying to, and it's very important to her in this scene that she is in power. At one point, he sends her upstairs to pack, and she says, "But I'm calling the shots. Remember that." And he's like, "Oh, of course, this and that." And she has this. At least what she's telling him is that she wants to go back to Acapulco until she can convince him that she always loved him or whatever. Just this very important to her to have him back under her control.
Now, here he says, put a few things in the cases for me. She goes, I have. How would she have gotten anything for him?
Maybe stealing from Wit or something. Well, yeah, what would fit him though? That's true.
Oh, maybe.
And now the phone call. So yeah, tells her, yeah, I'm going to go away with you. It's fine. I'm going away with you.
Yeah,
But
I kind of took that all a little bit differently. If she threw something in there for him, I was thinking a little bit of a less pure sort of for him.
Oh, I was thinking a gun, but you're going somewhere else. Okay.
Well, this was the 40s, Troy.
I would not put them past it to put a line like that in there and let you make the assumption you wanted to make. I've heard some pretty implied things in these older films.
Slipping past the censors.
Mm-hmm. Sometimes on a rewatch, I'll be like, oh my gosh, I can't believe that was actually in there.
Now, playing into her game, talking about when they first met and such.
Yeah.
And what he knows. This is a man going to his, I don't want to say too much, but
Yeah.
And this is the scene where they exit with the car and it looks like a church.
Mm-hmm.
With the tall grid windows and gates.
And that's why I say, and her wearing that almost like a wimple kind of hat, that can't be unintentional.
Oh, no, yeah.
And the reference to the line, pulled back into the fold. Yes, you're right. He doesn't mean it truly religiously, but this is a perversion of religion, or
even the little half white collar thing of her necklace or whatever that is there.
Right.
And also, it could also point to his redemption completed.
Mm-hmm.
I wondered if there was something in that when he was trying to start the car and it wouldn't start at first, if there was something meant there,
Yeah, like he's trying to pretend that, we can't go, the car doesn't start, but she sees through that. So now you see that, and he's refusing to let her out. He gets it in the gut, but there's no escape for her.
Ooh, poor police car.
Like that model shot there.
And here's the third instance of the kind of dirge. Low, quiet trombone.
And very, very slow.
Yes.
And that's the ultimate dirge for the death of our main character, yeah.
So sad.
Now, I wasn't quite sure what this scene was about. Were they coming from, like, the church service or something for him, or
that's the impression I got.
I thought it was from the police. I thought it was from like her final statement or something. But
probably
maybe
it's like I can't really see enough of the building to tell what it was. That's why I'm like, where did they just come from?
Yeah, that's a good question.
That might be a municipal court or something.
So he says, I just want to be with you. She's like, no, I can't, because she has this important question to ask the kid.
Right.
She needs to know, was her faith in him merited? So she needs to know, was he planning on going off with Kathy or not? And she has to know, she says, because she won't be able to move on with anybody else if she knows that he was true to her to the end. And so he says that, yes, he was going off, and you can guess or whatever, but it's just this little wave when he stands up and looks at the sign, at Jeff Bailey's sign, and gives it a little wave. That tells me that Jeff told her to tell her that.
Okay, yeah, it does look like correct, because it looked like the church was down the road. So yeah, it looks like a courthouse.
Okay.
Okay, yeah, I see what you're saying. I didn't see that the first time through.
But
so
she's
he
so
really
evil.
was lying to her, basically.
That's my reading of it anyway. Yeah.
I can see that. I did not see it that way the first time through.
Well, she's very evil, and I can see how that would have blinded you to the.
In a good way. Blinded you in a good way.
Yeah.
So now at the end, when you realize, okay, he was onto her, that changed my opinion of him. But all through the movie, I'm like, you are such an idiot. She's why are you not doing something about this?
I'm still not even understanding how at the very end there, he even got in the car with her. And I mean, it's like,
well,
what was his end game there? What was he planning to steer her towards?
I think dropping her off at the police.
Yeah, I think he knew that it was giving himself up was the only way to get her taken care of. She clearly was very good at running and hiding and popping back up and making trouble. Plus, she clearly had a thing about needing that power over him. And if she thought that he was with some other woman, well, then poor Anne is as good as dead too. You can imagine what Kathy would have done to Anne. Prompted, I don't know. That's just what I was thinking about it.
Well, that's why when they're driving, she goes, "You dirty double crosser," because she saw the guns from the police.
Yeah.
And it's like, yeah, he was turning her in.
Yep.
And
she knows
not got him in the side. Well,
Yeah. It's a shame that, it's good. That's what these rewatches are for, to rewatch and comment and analyze and stuff like that. But for anybody who's watching this for the first time with us and was still putting up with all of our comments over it does bear going back to watch just to catch all that wonderful dialogue and and everything quietly. It's good stuff. Really good stuff. So what do you guys think? You liked it?
Yeah, this is one of my favorites we've seen.
For me, it did benefit from the rewatch with the group and your insights, because I still think he was dumb, but maybe not as dumb as I thought he was.
And like I said, he redeemed himself at the end when you realize, okay, he's not being stupid. He actually did have some sort of plan.
Mm-hmm.
He was just going along with her, acting like the fool, but he really wasn't.
I
but
you don't see that. A little too late. In my opinion.
Well, initially he was just like any other man who was led astray by a pretty dame with shiny eyes and nice gams, and finally comes to his senses when he realizes that she's a petty little.
But I really do see what the professor was saying about how all the choices you make, they follow you and you don't get away from them, and the consequences eventually catch up to you. Yeah,
it's a constant theme in noir, definitely.
And I would say for his playing her pretty early on, I think he was playing her even since writing that letter to Anne when she comes into the room. Mm-hmm. He couldn't let her. I mean, in a situation like that, he couldn't let her know that he had the upper hand, or that would have been his end.
Right.
Right.
She'd have shot him because she'd seen her. He'd seen her do it to too many people already.
Right.
Yeah. Boy, Wolftown Media is looking. He says, "I have Kroll ready." Got to hold off a few days on that one, but yeah, that's good. So, in terms of the Saturday Night Noirs, on the schedule then for next week is to go ahead and jump to Screwball Comedies with Bringing Up Baby. And I like that because we can still come back and watch some great noir later. Touch of Evil. Oh, we got to do Touch of Evil. Gilda. And
Gilda.
Yeah, Gilda. A lot of great ones to get to eventually. So I like that we're not just totally running through them all. I would also like to at some point watch Mask of the Phantasm, because people keep, you can't talk can't talk film noir to a group of geeks without them making the connections to Batman.
True.
And in fact, Mask of the Phantasm was heavily noir influenced, even more so than
That's
the
a good
show
idea.
or things like that. So so that's something in the future there too to come around to. But is everybody on board and feel good about jumping to Bringing Up Baby with the screwball comedy next week? Or
Sure.
Why
sound
not?
good? All right.
Yep.
That's great.
So that's a return to Howard Hawks, who did Big Sleep with Humphrey Bogart, but he's a really great director of screwball comedies. And it stars a young Katharine Hepburn, a young Cary Grant, and just amazing roles. And I don't know if you guys like me, but I that's the kind of comedy I truly do laugh out loud at. It can be very funny, and hopefully I think the chat will enjoy it. So just because it's a comedy, don't think it's like less quality or less artistic than the serious film noir. It's really, really good, really artistically done, even as a screwball comedy. Screwball comedy as a genre has its own little tropes and own common themes and stuff like that we've it's its own different, but just like we've been talking about with film noir. So,
and like I've mentioned many times, comedy has a similarity, has a relationship to even like horror, because it's really all about timing. You got to pay attention to timing. A scene, a series of lines could be very well done, or they could be a mess depending on the timing.
Yeah, and it's that's where really you can have it written in the script all you want, but if the actor doesn't have a sense of timing and the director doesn't have a sense of timing, it's going to fall flat. Yeah. And Lister, for $4.99, Owen, come around more often. There's an anime archetype that's similar to the femme fatale. It's called the Yandir. I don't know if I'm pronouncing that right. Basically, a female who's obsessed with you and is psychotic. So the ex-girlfriend type.
The crazy eyes.
Or what in Wayne's World when
see Yandere
Boyle's character, yeah.
Yeah, and they call her the psycho hose beast. That was funny. I guess she gets him the gift. She gets him into gun rack. He's like, "Oh, gun rack." She's like, "You don't like it?" Steve, I don't even own a gun. Little known miniguns necessitate an entire rack. So what am I going to do with the gun rack? Oh, we got to watch.
See, I would have just said, well, that means you're going to be buying me some guns, right? In the future.
So it sounds like Wayne's World's going to be on a future rewatch of a screwball comedy.
Well, Bill and Ted's coming up on the calendar for Saturdays because we got to get ready for the third one, right, Troy? When does that fall on the calendar at some point?
I don't have August open. I have July. Give me just a second. I will find it.
Because I am very excited. Believe it or not, I don't get excited about many movies coming out anymore, but Bill and Ted, please don't let me down.
So we have Excellent Adventure on the 15th. We have Bogus Journey on the 22nd, because then I believe it's the 28th that it's released. The new movie.
Yeah. It's going to be fun. Good times. And if people want to, if you guys want to do different movies on your Saturday, I can always fit them in or something as extras or whatever. I don't want to cramp your style and your.
I've already got them on the calendar.
All right. So immediately though, we're talking about Out There. Well, first of all, before we go through what's coming up, do any of you guys have any final thoughts on this film or final thoughts on noir in general, or anything you wanted to say? Don't want to cut you off.
It's been good. I really do like catching these patterns and these motifs, if you will, and language and how things were done, both as a kind of a set piece and narrative and dialogue and music and all of that.
Yeah, it's fun, and it's also I don't think I ever mentioned, but film noir, even though it's got that French name because the French film critics named it that, but it is seen as a distinctly American art form. Quote unquote American in terms of a melting pot, because you had a lot of directors coming over here, as fleeing their countries and whatever, working in Hollywood. But it's good, like jazz or like comic book superheroes themselves, a uniquely American art form. So, all right, well, this is. Oh, go ahead.
I was going to say, I like these movies that you've been exposed me to because they're ones I haven't seen before, and I get to see just as different takes on these different detectives. I said I'm leaning more towards the Marlowe and type of detective rather than this one, because I just felt he really wasn't being very detective-y.
Yeah, he wasn't hard-boiled at all, definitely. Yeah.
Yeah. But I'm really loving these movies you're putting out there.
That's
Cool,
my
cool.
girl.
Well, I'm glad that everybody seemed to have liked it and responded well in the chat and everything too. I hope that screwball comedies go over just as well, because I really do love screwball comedies. And one thing in common is the really witty dialogue. Incredibly witty dialogue is one of the things they have in common with film noir. So, all right, so that's this Tuesday. Nothing tomorrow. Thursday night, the Star Wars Scoundrels is 3 chapters, 17 through 19. Did I get that right?
Yes.
Woohoo!
Very good.
Okay. I was looking at the remaining chapters too, and I think we're doing 3 chapters this week. We'll just stick to 3 chapters for the next week, and then that'll leave us 2 chapters for the final week, but one of them's pretty long. So that'll be good, a good way to divide it up. So 3 chapters, 2 chapters, and then we'll be done with Star Wars, moving on to Dune. So yeah, a lot of fun there to come join us for that. And Friday night, Fan Man something or another.
Something, I'm assuming.
Yeah, and then Saturday.
Hopefully he'll get his new board working. He didn't have the show this morning because his new board was giving him issues.
Oh, okay.
So hopefully he'll be back on Thursday morning for his Second Cup Cafe, and then hopefully something Friday night.
And then nothing special happening Saturday. So. What's happening Saturday, Al?
Sounds like the people in the stream.
Saturday is the
night.
1983 classic sci-fi fantasy film Crawl with all kinds of cool people like Liam Neeson and Robbie Coltrane and Freddie Jones and Lisette Anthony, who is absolutely gorgeous redhead.
And the Krull is of course, he was the character that Howard created before Conan, but this movie is actually from a Conan story, and they just call it Krull. Did I get that right?
No, that's Kull the Conqueror, not
Kull. Oh, I'm thinking Kull. Sorry. That's a different movie. Sorry.
Wow. Although I got to admit, when I was a kid, I made the same mistake.
Sorry.
No, Kull the Conqueror is a film that starred Kevin Sorbo.
Yep, totally different movie. This is Krull.
I've never seen Krull then. All this time I thought you were talking about Kull, and I was like, wow, man, maybe I should join. But no, I've never seen. I got to listen to Saturday anyway.
Serious? You've never seen Krull with the,
never seen Krull?
The glaive and the.
Oh wait, is Krull the one with the guy like the species who knows when they're going to die and stuff?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, it's all right.
Sound Engraver, will you be there Saturday?
Saturday night.
It's a love story.
Well, is there horror in it?
I don't think I'd really call it horror.
Well, I don't trust
you. I'm going to be honest with you, Sound Engraver. There are some very intense scenes. There is lots of weird screaming from
whenever the stormtrooper guys get killed. Yeah,
there's the Slayers. Yeah. There's a big spider at one point.
That spider storyline though is like part of the romance of it. It's
I mean, I'm not afraid of movie spiders. Shelob is fine.
You'd be, like I said, you would be more than welcome. It's got a great score. Like I said, it's up to you though.
That score. That's true.
It is a good score.
I might hang out in the chat like I normally do, but
the beast is an evil vision
that you never actually see very clearly.
Not totally clearly, no, you never do. You're never actually sure how big he is. Which is kind of
good point.
And then, of course, Sunday night, the Weeb Watch. Go ahead, Al.
Mr. Matchstick's watching anime.
Matchstick, you need to cut that and make it your opening theme.
Right?
That's just perfect. All right, so that's Goblin Slayer, I believe, is on the Weeb Watch, and then Monday nights we're gonna do another question and answer. I think, is that right, Sound Engraver?
I'm not sure. I mean, if you guys like that,
That was fun.
It was, yeah.
I like that you guys gave me hypotheticals, not actual questions. Like you've been put in charge to do music for this Cad Bane arc. But yeah, that was a lot of fun. It was really light and easy for me. I've just been kind of tied with a couple projects that I have to get done. So if I don't have a topic next time, I'll probably do that. If I feel adventurous, I might try to stream live, maybe my being in the workflow, finishing up a project, and then talking with you guys while I work in Logic or something.
Cool. You have to do a show, The History of the Oboe.
The history of the oboe. And any particular reason?
I just think an oboe is cool.
I misheard you, Al. I thought you said elbow, and I'm like, why would she do something on the history of the elbow?
Yeah, oboe is very different from an elbow. That's true.
Oh,
I
man.
thought, Al, you strike me as the bassoon type.
I will say, I like a good bassoon too.
That's right. So I'll definitely do something, with whether it's Q&A or just being in my project or even
History of the Oboe. It's written in stone now.
Oh, it's not.
No, it is not, Al.
And I think you said there was a different time for that Monday too, right?
Oh yeah. So real quick, I think I might be teaching home Monday again. So I might not have my commute Mondays anymore. If I don't have my commute, then I'll definitely get into probably 9 or between 9 and 9:30, something a little early.
Yeah.
I felt pretty low key last night. So hopefully
It was good.
Too low energy.
No, it was good, informative, good stuff.
Thank you.
And then of course,
just great stream before this stream tonight, Prof.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. Yeah, that was fun. I'm definitely going to do that again. So, like I said, if you want a chance to throw some of your writing at me, definitely join that Facebook group. Troy already put the link in the chat.
Dude, Nanette can tell you, I was over here. The very first thing you said was great story from Troy. And I'm like, he already complimented me. And then you ended it off with, and now I want to know what happens next. And a couple other people in the stream did too. And I'm like, gosh, now I'm kind of thinking I might go a completely different way with this story after this.
That's cool.
So exactly how is a fog like a guilty conscience?
It hangs
Oh,
around.
I loved that.
It's unavoidable.
I love that.
I basically said that just to let them know I was listening.
It's palpable. Yeah, I like that. That was great imagery.
Everybody with taste likes it, Al.
I did not say I did not like it.
Didn't like it. Yeah, I was gonna jump in there for you on that one, Al.
I'm just messing with you. No, I appreciate you guys listening.
So yeah, Prof, you made Troy go squee.
I did kind of go squee, yeah.
And why lemon and not vinegar? Vinegar would sting very much on a paper cut.
That would true.
Here's the thing, Al. I loved Stephen Cruz's imagery there because
Just
I've
kidding.
had lemon on a paper cut. I know what that feels like.
Well, see, I'm from Maryland, and we have crabs, and we always get the little pokes in the fingers, and you get the vinegar on it, and it stings. It's a Maryland thing.
Yeah, but I do appreciate people watching and playing along with that. That was a lot of fun. I will cut that off and make it its own video and then trim this rewatch down so when people want to come back and watch it on their own, they can just start at the beginning of it. But what was I? And I will post the edited versions of all of those for all of you people who volunteered that. I really appreciate those of you who you guys here and people in the chat who gave their stories. And don't feel like you've done it now and you can't do it again or anything, because I don't imagine a lot of people are going to take me up on this. So feel free to add, and I'll just get to as many clips or samples as I can next time I do it around. But thank you for that. I will add the edited versions to your posts, so you'll have those there of mine. Just do with as you please.
So we can just basically copy and paste.
Yep, pretty much. Yep, exactly.
You're welcome, Stephen Cruz. So Sound of River, thank you, Sticking Tongue at Big L.
It was good. Like I said, Stephen Cruz has really impressed me too with the.
He is sticking his tongue out as if he was tasting lemon upon his tongue.
It's nice to see people.
Josh,
engaging the senses and you know putting the emotions in the body and all that kind of stuff too. So good stuff. And Tuesday, then we move to Screwball Comedy. I will also post I don't think I've shared this yet. Actually, no, I don't have my webcam hooked up anymore. I'll share a picture of it or a link to it in the group. But one of my favorite books on film noir is actually done by one of the professors I took a film noir class from, and another professor he works with. It's one of my favorite books on it. So there's TCM does some great guides, but this one's a little bit more scholarly in ways, but in a good way scholarly, not like, this movie bad for women. not that way.
No, that's not your gender study professor voice. You had another one.
Oh, I did, didn't I? Now I can't. Well, now that you called it out, I can't think of it. I don't know what it was.
Nice putting them on the spot there, Sarah Gray.
I did have a pretty good. People commented on how good that was. So, yeah, I need to remember that one. Maybe it was just sort of subtle. I don't know. But anyway, I'll put a picture of this book. It's got a picture of the Maltese Falcon and Touch of Evil on it. In fact, it's called The Maltese Falcon, Film Noir and Potential Criticism, Touch of Evil. Or no, that's just never mind. The Maltese Touch of Evil is what it's called.
Wow, that is one long title.
No, it's The Maltese Touch of Evil, and then the subtitle is Film Noir and Potential Criticism. The Maltese Touch of Evil. So it's kind of going from the earliest to the latest in this period that it's covering. So
cool.
All right. I've talked a lot. Thanks, everybody, for hanging out. Any last words from you folks?
Nope.
All right. Well, thank everybody. Thank you, everyone, for hanging out. And come back next time. Until then, keep enjoying and digging deeper into the stories you love the most.
Night, guys.
Night, everyone.
Bye.